I have a question. My question is, since some time back, I've had some insight, and I've felt called to sometimes share this with others. But in my personal life, I still can get very caught up, and sometimes even feel a bit depressed. And for that reason, I feel like I'm not necessarily in a place to be sharing. But the strange thing is that whenever that does happen, it feels really good for both parties. So it seems to benefit others, and it also ignites my own spark, if you will. But I'm just a bit confused about the, getting stuck in my own personal life.
Yes, it often happens that if one is a little focused on one's own drama or lost in one's own feelings or a bit depressed, as you say, that if you have to engage with someone who requires you to give them your attention, you have to take your attention off yourself. You can't attend to your own depression and attend to your friend as well. And on this occasion, your friend is requesting your attention. So you take your attention off yourself and you give your love and your attention to your friend. And then you're surprised to notice after the conversation or the interaction that you also have been, you were counseling your friend maybe, and helping them, but you notice after the conversation that you were also helped by the conversation. Why? Because you were not focusing on yourself. You were not indulging your feelings. You were not perpetuating the separate self by collapsing around it, by feeding the depression with all kinds of justifications and reasons and causes, etc. So as a side effect of your giving your love and attention to your friend, you were relieved of this tension or depression. And it's not, this doesn't just happen if you give your attention to another person. If you were to give your attention to an activity that required your full attention, you may also find that, for instance, let's say that I'm just taking an example, but you can substitute it for whatever might be appropriate. In your case, let's say that you're a musician and you're feeling low and depressed and lonely, etc. But you want to practice a piece of music, and you're a very serious musician, so you take out your instrument or you sit at your piano and you for 45 minutes, you just give your love and attention to the music. You're not thinking about yourself at all. You've forgotten about your depression because you're exploring the music, your technique, the rhythm, the sound. And at the end of your practice, you cease giving your attention to the music. Your attention comes back to yourself, but you find that you have been relieved of a burden. You haven't been focused. So it was as though the music or the activity, whatever it was in your case, has helped you to stop focusing on yourself as a separate person, and has lifted you out of the depression. So going back to your friend, it's quite right. Don't feel that you have to be perfect before you can share your understanding with a friend. Just always respond in the moment to whatever is required of you. Speak from your own experience, and feel free to share your understanding, to help your friends.
But what about professionally, Rupert? Because it happens that professionally, like I say, I get caught up myself, like I just explained. But professionally also, it is required sometimes, or like I work with people that need help, and then whenever I allow that to come through, like I say, it's very nourishing. But then afterwards, I feel like well, who am I to kind of, even though I know it's true, it's all based on insights.
That's the ego coming in afterwards, and either taking the credit or taking the blame for the activity. But during the activity itself, you were spontaneously talking to your friend or client. There was no ego involved. You were just responding to the moment in a professional therapeutic situation or whatever it is. But you obviously left your depression at the door when you were talking to your client or whoever it was. Yeah, and that's good. If somebody comes to you for relief from suffering, that is for happiness or for peace, you don't want to bring them your depression. You have to leave that at the door.
Yeah, but do you not think it's strange that you can have you can also have insight, but then you can also have that, like that other kind of side of the coin?
No, it's not strange at all. Everybody, literally everybody has, everybody is essentially the same being, and the nature of that being, as we have been discussing these last few days, is peace, or the nature of that being is happiness and love. The nature of everybody, every single person, is peace and love. And people vary in the extent to which their innate peace and love is veiled by their thoughts and feelings. But even those who have a thick cloud cover of thoughts and feelings that filter out most of the peace and the joy and love that emanates from their being, even in these characters, there are gaps in the cloud cover. There are moments when the background of peace or love filters through, and they are able to act with kindness. Or there are moments when they feel peace and happiness. The rest of the time they may be hostile and aggressive and unhappy. But so no, I don't find it strange that you find that you are from time to time depressed or lonely or unhappy, and at other times there are these moments where you feel free of these afflictive emotions, and you are able to share truth and love with other people. I don't find that strange at all. It's natural.
And the extent to which that happens would speak to the understanding that the person has. Would you say that?
It's not so much the understand. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, sometimes it feels like, because I don't express these things that I've seen, it almost becomes repressed, like it represses it.
Yes.
But I don't know if I'm making that up.
It's not so much the understanding a person has. A person doesn't really have understanding. Intelligence, peace, love are the nature of our being. So everybody has this intelligence and this peace and this love at their core. The differences between people is not the difference in their understanding. Understanding is always the same. Peace is always the same. Love is always the same. The difference in people is the extent to which their innate intelligence, peace and love is veiled by their thoughts and feelings. The thoughts and feelings are personal, but intelligence, love and peace are impersonal. They don't belong to a person. They are expressed by a person, but they come from that in us which is prior to the person.
Okay.
Now, how that intelligence, peace and love is expressed, of course, varies from person to person. But what is being expressed is always the same.
And the extent to which someone still gets lost does pertain to how clearly,
Yes,
how much it's failed.
Yes, it depends upon the extent to which they have lost themselves in or identified themselves with the content of their experience. This mixture of our self plus the content of experience is what is commonly called the ego or the separate self. So the extent to which our innate intelligence, peace and love are expressed in our activities depends upon the extent that the ego is present in us. Depends on how thick this egoic covering, the cloud cover of the ego is.